You're so...
Oh, all right.
Hey.
We are live. Welcome back to the Artifakt Hour. We're here. This is a trilogy of sorts on this painting here because this is our third episode doing this piece, but we are right at the finish line. So we're just working on some like finishing touches here. We got myself. I'm Ryan. This is Audrey. She's here painting flowers. I'm over here working the airbrush. Like I said, we've got like maybe like 40 to 50 hours on this on this painting.
You mean left to go?
No. Oh my God. No, we've put into it. So like we went super deep on this one, and we definitely felt like it deserved a little more love and attention, and so here we are.
Here we are, ready to wrap it up.
Yeah, that's kind of like the name of the game lately. I've been super on a kick of like finishing paintings, and really just like if I open the door, I gotta close it at some point because paintings can just become an odyssey, and you can just go and go and go
for years.
And this is one of those pieces that like we're obviously getting pretty detailed and psychedelic with it. Some people call this like a visionary art style. I don't know if I use that term as much. I think psychedelic art is kind of nails it.
I like psychedelic street art, even though this isn't street art. It is.
Right, my goal has always been to use street art techniques to create visionary or psychedelic art, but using airbrush, using spray paint, and we're using brush paints, we're using acrylics, we're using paint markers. So like there's it's mixed media. So what I like about mixed media is that it's just great for layering. Like you can create crazy depth, you can kind of jump back and forth, and it has like it allows for more texture, more depth, more detail, just where one medium can only go so far. For instance, spray paint, I can only get so much detail. So like I've created a bunch of glow here with my airbrush, which uses paint in these little jars. I basically can switch out these little jars if I want to switch my colors, rinse the airbrush in a little water. It's pretty simple. It's a long learning curve with airbrush. So I will say that like it takes a while to get clean, consistent lines. But if you're used to spray paint and you use aerosol, it's a much quicker learning curve. So like the idea is that airbrush and spray paint are both frictionless mediums. They don't touch the surface that you're working on. You're only your hand is floating over the surface, so it's more of like a movement practice. So it's a little different than like your traditional brush mediums. But anyways, speaking of brush, I'm gonna switch back over to a brush, and like I said, we kind of jump around a little bit. The thing is that like it's good to let certain sections dry, so I never want to like overwork something. I want to jump around, and if you have ADD or something, like painting's great. Painting's amazing because you can. It's good for multitasking. Like you want to move, and you don't want to stay in one place too long. The goal here with like some of this organic stuff that I'm doing, I'm painting like little highlights on my leaves, just adding layers of detail. What this does by like jumping around, adding my highlights, brings out a little more light. It's
light or life?
Light.
Yeah.
So with acrylics, I build dark to light. So toward the end, the parts that I want to be a little brighter, I'm just gonna take this lighter lime green and kind of bring that in just to enhance the greenery. But yeah, most of this painting I'm really happy with. I did a bunch of stencil work since last week. I painted in all these DNA sequences with stencils, and I have that on time lapse. These molecules. I brought in these UFOs over here because I kind of thought it would be trippy to have the molecules kind of transforming into these UFOs, which is then, kind of flying over to this UFO pyramid scene. So, that was just kind of an idea that I had as I was creating this. I
haven't touched it since, so I'm just pulling the flowers forward.
Yeah, Audrey is great at painting a lot of pointillism and very and also organic flowers and mandalas and stuff like that. So I thought that it would be appropriate for her to help me out with painting this big field, because the idea is like with that section is like we wanted it to look like just infinite flowers in this field and all types of varieties, and really make it trippy in the sense that it just felt like it just goes forever. So the idea with like perspective is, the foreground is going to be your biggest objects. The background is, they're slowly getting smaller as you're going down the trail. So, she's kind of dabbing and dotting with like a pointillism technique, which she is good at and requires, patience and attention to detail and things like that. So, everybody has their strong suits when it comes to painting. I am a fan of texture, and also I try to embrace imperfection. I'm kind of need to check that a bit lately, because I've been, especially when it comes to finishing paintings, try to make it all perfect. You try to you always want to add more, but you have to kind of let go of that.
Put it down.
Because the aesthetic of the roughness, the hand, the imperfections make it human, and that give it personality and character, and that's what people want. They don't want a photographic reproduction. If they did, they would buy a photo. So you gotta be able to show that at times, but it's like when and where, where do I let go of the parts that I kind of just let them be, and what parts do I try to fix and render or clean up, or I have to kind of make those decisions at this point. So for instance, like a lot of the background I love, there's randomness to all the stars and all the spaciness and the splatters. And again, they're not always going to be the way that I exactly wanted them, because they're splatters. But
such is the nature of nature.
Right. Yeah. So it has to have chaos and stuff in it. But that's why we keep creating, because we're always trying to outdo ourselves. So I have to say, okay, I see things that I absolutely love about the painting, and I accept and let go of the things that I could have maybe done better or improved on. But that's the lesson I learned. Like, you learn, okay, here's what I tried, here's what worked, here's what didn't. But if you get out of the comfort zone, you push yourself to do something challenging artistically, creatively, and you just keep one-upping that, that then all of a sudden you're, one day, it's like you stack all these things together. And for me, I have never painted a canvas this large, so that's a unique thing for me. I've painted walls that are bigger than this. I painted a painting bigger than this. I painted a 15-foot painting today. I went out to there's a spot in Beverly called it's the Beverly Wall, and there's a shop called Graph City. Shout out to those guys. We went up there today to paint a production with some friends, and
things got a little out of hand.
Graffiti style production where I did this character as kind of a backdrop for, you know, a few other friends to do their, you know, graffiti names and lettering. And ended up just painting all day. It was a super nice day out. Like, for those who are with us, we live in New England. So it's just about springtime, and so like paint season is upon us right now, which means we're going to be doing a lot more work outdoors, and we're hoping that we can bring this paint cast outside at some point.
Yes,
because we'd really love to paint in the backyard and show you all our space and be able to have like basically a session where we do a live graffiti piece, you know, for an hour or two, or, you know, incorporate a whole jam, have like a few artists going at a time. So those are things that we are looking forward to in the future. Hey, just want to real quick give a birthday shout out to my man Info. Happy birthday. He watches the podcast sometimes. So at some point we're gonna have some jams outdoors. You know, that's kind of what our thing is when it comes to summer and spring, and fall. So things are definitely gonna change up around here, but this winter's been good to us, being in the studio, getting stuff like this going. We got mad work done.
Agreed.
So I am happy about that. Still working these little sections over here, and I feel like I need some of this fluid acrylic.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me scooping a little bit.
Do. I need some purple.
That way I can kind of have a mix of both of those colors. So there's a term I've been using lately called overcooking, which means you go too far in a painting, and this is that point of like, you know,
like we could reach that point soon,
well, at
if
some point,
we don't check it.
you don't want to overcook. So certain sections I'm super happy with. I'm mostly just like working out like some of the organic stuff right now. And that seems to be what the piece needs, at least as far as I can tell.
Yeah, agreed.
But the point was that I'd never done a canvas this big, and like it's definitely had its challenges, you know, in certain ways that, you know, intimidated me. It took me a while to really step up to this, because I was just knowing like, I know my tendency to get like really sucked into a project, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know if this one's gonna let me out, you know. I thought I was just gonna get sucked into a painting and just never come back, like just die, you know. Like just get so absorbed,
so dramatic,
that like you know, you just find me here. Imagine like you just come back from Miami and like, what happened to Ryan? It's just like I'm just like a shell of a man, just sitting here like
haven't eaten or slept in days.
Haven't eaten or slept in weeks. I'm just like, I've gone mad, you know.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's not far off. I mean, you know, it's but no, not this
Too
time.
much.
Not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
So yeah, we're grinding along. But no, for real, paintings can't do that to you. They can really
suck it,
pull you in, you know, and meaning that
it's
like
true.
it's a time suck, you know. It's a time suck when you commit to any piece or any project, but especially, you know, what I'm learning is that just like with canvases like this one really testing me, it shows me, you know, it takes a lot more time than I really think. And, you know, half of this painting, it hasn't even just been painting it. It's been conceptualizing it and thinking my way through it, and what is this and what is that, because there's layers of meaning inside of all of this piece, you know. And I don't want to go too far with it, but I will allude to that, because I think that's like the important part of the paint cast, and like the little Easter eggs that we give you guys who really tune in and really like are fans of the work and like really are interested in this stuff. For me, this painting is totally 1,000% inspired by entheogenic experiences, we'll call them. So it's also inspired by the Grateful Dead, and I think those things being synonymous in the sense of like, I found early exposure to that culture. I mean, my exposure as a Westerner to psychedelic culture was through the lens of the Grateful Dead and festivals and that like nomadic hippie culture of my time and era and generation. Obviously I'm on the younger spectrum of that, but it still had an enormous influence on my life, just because of the way that it shaped me as an artist, it shaped me as a person. It just gave me my first sense of tribe, of identifying to a specific tribe, or knowing or understanding that I was part of something bigger than myself, that was like not really like a religion, and it was not really like a, it wasn't like
as if you're a spinner.
Yes, yeah, but I never got that far.
No
And but truthfully, like, I always thought that it was like, it was true community, but like
a sense of belonging,
a sense of cultural community, like some kind of belonging to some kind of something that had some sort of like cultural relevance, or something that spoke to a deeper authenticity of what like being a human in America, or is all about.
Being a human in America, I like that.
Like what am I trying to say? I think that a lot of these experiences were really hard to articulate if you don't have some semblance of like normalcy, like people making that more normalized, to be able to have those experiences in a group setting, or like a gathering of like a concert, or like a bunch of people, and have it sort of be curated for that experience. To me, like, that was always mind-blowing. Like, I always thought that was amazing, that like that existed here for us, like that was a possibility on this. Like, there's nothing better than like, I don't know, like the feeling of like being in a big crowd in a concert or a festival, and like really like merging with like
the collective.
The collective in a sense, when you're in the right mind state, and the set and setting and the dose, when it all syncs up in that amazing way, like it's just extremely special. Like, I don't know how to say it, like
you're merging with the divine, right?
Yeah, so
on the love frequency.
So I have a belief that like, there's some sort of like universal kind of like spiritual, kind of ritualistic kind of thing that we tap into when we go to that place. It's like almost like a paganism practice, or some kind of like, summoning or something, where things happen, like magic happens, like miracles happen. Like, I've seen all of it, like just it's I think it just it makes things possible that I just can't I just can't seem to explain. Like, all the synchronicities I've seen or felt with absolute total strangers at like big shows, or just the way that the Dead in general, like that culture has shaped my life. It's bigger than just a band or some music or whatever. Like, that counterculture has been has saved me, at times from, I think, finding, getting lost or like into like, I think the feeling of not belonging to something and not having a way to explain or a way to normalize certain feelings or expressions, like, I think that's super unhealthy. And I think that people can go down really bad roads that I think I maybe avoided because of being, exposed to something that was a lot more positive. And I don't want to say like, that's the case for everybody, because a lot of people, festivals and party culture can be like really bad for them. But for me, like, I think it made it more acceptable, where I was able to express that and kind of like, have a more clear understanding of it, where I don't know, like it made me feel safe. Like, I knew it made me meet people so that I had good sources and that I trusted my environment. And like, I've always just felt like, it's everything that I've ever gotten has always come from like, some universal kick down. And like, when they say, it's like people like look out. It really is a family of sorts sometimes, it can be a dysfunctional family at at many times, but like, that whole culture really looks out for each other in a way that people just like don't in normal society. And like, I
hear you.
Yeah, like it's just the idea of like being kind and just like, accepting people's weirdness and their eccentricities and everything in between, and allowing people to like let their freak flag fly or lose their mind or, go down the rabbit hole if they want to. Like, there's a universal acceptance that I think is super beautiful. But again, every scene, you go far enough and you're part of something, it can have its its problems, or it's it's like it's everything at the core. If you get too wrapped up in something, it's probably not for the best. So you gotta get off the bus once in a while, but
And so to bring it back to this painting, what we're trying to say is we're very, very inspired by, let's just say, the Grateful Dead in a way that's so much deeper than just their music, because if you know, like they are so much more than just the music. And the parts of, let's just call it this culture, that I think are the positive takeaways are the inspiration that they provide, whether it's the music just making someone cry or laugh or both, or if it's the fact that their presence has inspired this painting. It's like,
well, I think it's more than just the like, what the painting's trying to articulate is the fact that it's sort of like it's a certain like motif or metaphor or archetype that they touch upon. I like the idea of the, like, this is obviously super inspired by a lot of the Egypt artwork that had they had played it. The Dead had played a show in the 70s in front of the pyramids, and I always thought that was super badass. I mean, like, nobody's allowed, they don't even allow people to have concerts there anymore, like,
right.
So who gets to, like, nobody gets to do that. And it's almost in a way they're like, I think they're tapped into some timeless universal thing, some energy that's like older,
gives them the pass.
Yeah, like it's older. It's like, again, it's like that ritual. It's like the gypsy thing, the caravan thing, the exodus, like the movement of the people, like that whole thing that they revived, the idea of like going on tour or like, getting in a van and following a band around or whatever. Like, they really led the charge on, like, as far as like you know, like sparking that whole thing. Like we would not have the music festival world or
No.
circuit at all without all of, you know, their influence.
Yeah, definitely not.
So I don't know. It goes without saying. Like I think of it as more of a, like it's older than just a band that formed in 1965. It's like they're tapped into something older than their own, you know, themselves. Like, in terms of like a ritualistic sense, where like the formula is very similar to, I don't know, just it's unique, but it's like, I don't know, it's just very nomadic and tribal, and so it's very primitive at the same time. Like, and so so this painting, like I'm trying to capture some of like the ancient wisdom of like the pyramids of the Egyptians, their knowledge of the stars and their alignment, you know, with the cosmos, and also, you know, bringing some of that in with like chemistry, DNA, the aliens, UFOs, symbolizing like, you know, just the others, the idea of like, you know, there are beings out there, you know, somewhere in some shape, form, but also like this is obviously like a painting that is as symmetrical as I will ever make a painting, because I never make them quite symmetrical, but I had to balance out the birds. Like I originally had these birds on this side and I needed to balance them out. That's where the UFOs came into play, because the birds are like, you know, again, you know, it's my way of making fractals, you know, having motion, symbolizing nature, and also the wings of the, you know, the centerpiece here are mirrored in the birds. So it's like the idea of like setting free through chemistry, you know, and like the idea of this is like two sides of the feeling, you know, of like, you know, this one particular chemical and this other particular chemical. And I'm not going to tell you what these are. You can do your own homework on all of that if you want to, but like, you know, as a deadhead, I think most deadheads would understand. The flower scene over here is like really coming together, and I'm really feeling like this painting, my goal was to make it just trippy enough, you know, with that, you know, when you step back, like there's a lot going on, but there's pockets of simplicity, like this waterfall and all this is just some rocks, you know, and or the space can, you know, areas can kind of be like a little more simple and basic. Like I really tried to let some of the space breathe, not overdo it, overcook it, but, you know, also have these really super hyper detailed paintings within a painting. So like right here, I put in this little tomb, the entrance to the tomb with the green smoke coming out, so that this like magical mist is just like enveloping all of the pyramids, but it all comes from like this hidden unlocked chamber. So like stuff like that is my Easter eggs of like, you know, what's, you know, paintings inside of the paintings. It's like, what's inside the tunnel? Like, who knows, you know? It's fucking, it's
you're never gonna
little,
know.
Yeah, well, it's just little Easter eggs for people who are really into it, you know?
I feel like most people who are fans of our work, your work, they, it's because of the Easter eggs, the details, the like getting lost in it. Especially some of the paintings that you've done that have like stood the test of time.
I think that's every painting. Like
True.
Everything's got like its little subtleties.
Yeah.
But I just like choose to lean into it now because I found it to be fun, and it just became like a theme after like doing a few pieces that I was like, okay, like why don't I, you know, go for it in terms of just having little paintings inside the paintings. Like I don't have to do that, but it's just, it makes it a little more interesting of like, especially with landscapes, that, you know, this itself is a pyramid, right? Like the centerpiece is a big pyramid, but now I have little pyramids, and inside of those pyramids there's a little door. So it's like, you know what I mean? There's layers inside layers, but overall, like, it's the same as this being wings, and now there's little birds, but there's like a bigger bird over here. It's, you know, it's a painting inside a painting inside a painting, as above so below. It's my way of like winking at like the metaverse or the multiverse, and the idea that there's like many universes here, right? Like these are not the same landscape, though you could say this is like a surrealism, like landscape-esque piece, which it kind of is. The part that I've loved the most is that I didn't have to paint one continuous landscape, and so that made it a lot easier for me, because things didn't have to be congruent. Like, it didn't have to make sense, right? And so sometimes what I've found that I've kind of burnt out on with landscapes is when I do have to make sense of them. So, you know, a tree has to look like this, and a rock has to look like this, and, you know, there's a bit of like you're married to it. Simply nice. Hi, what's up to our viewers?
We got Batches in here saying
Batches.
nerd. What's up, Batches?
What's up? Hey, Batches. So what was I saying?
That it's not congruent. I love that word.
Oh, okay.
Describe
So
it.
landscapes, like the cool part about this piece was like, this is its own landscape. The centerpiece is its own landscape, and then the left side is its own landscape, and it doesn't.
Ooh, look at that pink bubblegum pink.
Hey.
Sorry, that's just exciting.
It doesn't have to be one, you know, cohesive thing, because it's, you know, surrealism, and that is the multiverse. That is like the metaverse, or
Tis.
you know, it's like, I think of it as, you know, I don't know. It's all happening at the same time. So it's like having one side being day and one side being night. Well, there is only the now, because there's no such thing as day and night. Like, the world just turns, and like sometimes we're facing the sun and sometimes we're not. And, you know, and like we pretend like there's a difference. Like, we create this duality of like day and night when there is only now. Like, what's that about, you know?
You're getting real deep right now.
Well, yeah, that's
So
that's
the kind of day you've had.
speaking of inspiration, we got Jeremy Llewellyn back.
Oh, hey, Jeremy, you're our biggest, best fan, and we love you.
He said, I'm an aspiring mural artist, grew up just south of Chicago, currently living in Chicago. Your work really inspires me, gives me a fresh way to view things.
cool. That's dope, man.
That's
I appreciate
awesome.
that a lot. Yeah, man, keep at it. We're just trying to really help put out knowledge and share what we know, what we've, you know, done, so that it's exactly for that, to help other people, kind of like show them, you know, what's possible.
So that really means a lot. Even if you were our only viewer, that means like it's all, like that's
Well-
exactly what we're doing it for.
Well, yeah, it's the idea. Like, for us, this show is all about just like, it's just about the hang, which is like, a lot of times making art, like the funnest part is just when you get to hang out with your friends and paint together. Like, that is the best part of all of this. So I think that's important, is to like never lose that aspect of it, because that's all there really is. Like, otherwise it's just work, you know, and it's like
And we want to love our work.
you can burn out on it. So we've been doing this show just to like make it fun, so we can just joke around and not be so serious, and not feel, you know, like we had some parameters that we had to work in. You know, we just wanted to, like, we just literally get into deep conversations while we're making art, because it cracks you open, and it forces you to be vulnerable, and like talk about like life, or talk about, you know, whatever. And so why not like record that and allow people to be like a part of it? It really just took a bit of myself getting into like a comfort zone with it, and not, stepping on tripods. See, getting into a comfort zone of like being able to be comfortable on camera, literally in this case. But just also exposing your process, which is difficult because a lot of us like to keep our processes all secretive, and like I don't think it's helpful. Like it's good to have a container, like it's good to be able to have the privacy to work out ideas or make mistakes. Like you know what I mean? Like I sometimes have to just sit here and stare at this thing, and maybe sometimes my process isn't that entertaining, or maybe it's not helpful, or maybe the idea's not ready yet. It shouldn't be leaked to the world, in a way, like.
But I also feel, I wonder if you agree with this. I feel like with creativity, sharing quote unquote secrets of how something's done or made, you never really can, because you can say it all, you can walk somebody from point A to point B through the techniques, if you will, but if someone as their own artist can't bring forth their own magic, their own creativity, they can learn everything, all the techniques in the world, and
right, yeah.
At the end of the day, you bring your own magic to it. So that, the whole idea of people being secretive or just keeping a container on their process as if it's something to protect.
Yeah, well, people will bite ideas or bite styles or this or that, but that is something that, again, like you said, someone can't fake the funk if you don't have the skills or talent or ability to begin with. It's not gonna help you.
And there's this theory, this goes for all of life, there's no such thing as a new idea.
Right.
So the thought of somebody biting somebody else, technically if somebody is copying someone else in a very rude and like they're not acknowledging them kind of way, which we were talking about the other day, that's one thing. That's just, being a little bit inconsiderate or rude toward the source that you found it from. But the truth is, there is no new idea. Everybody is always borrowing and evolving.
No, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I that's why we do feel comfortable with just being you know what, we're just gonna show our process and be more open with it, because it's really art is about the engagement. It's about connecting.
Sure.
It's not about hoarding knowledge or trying to keep our again, a lot of times we keep the process secret out of respect to a client, or out of respect to somebody who doesn't want us to necessarily release something. Or say if I was working on an art show, that would make it so I really couldn't show you everything. It takes away from the effect. It's like if you you leak a movie, or if you leak a bunch of tracks of music and then you try to release an album and hype it up, well, if everybody's already heard every song, you know what I mean? It's it's not it doesn't have the same thing to it. So
I also like doing this though, personally, because not that there's any comparison, because we're all our own people, but you have far more professional visual artistic experience than I do. I do have a whole lifetime of training in all kinds of mediums, but it's still not the same. And so I actually feel really vulnerable and exposed being on this, because my technique is there is no technique. I don't have real I do have training, but I do it how I'm gonna do it, and sometimes it's a longer process for me because I'm not dialed into the process, or really because I'm working on something that you've designed, so it isn't my design, so it isn't my method,
Right, so you got to think about it.
Yeah. So
I've
it's
done
kind
the thinking.
Right, so I'm just fucking around is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I'll put it like this. I think that it actually gives good balance to not only our process, but to the show in general, because then it's okay, well, if we were both experts, then we would be speaking a language that would maybe not be as
fair.
Accessible or something. I think it's good to show those skill levels, to be because it's showing okay, here's someone who's like, it's like, you know, still apprenticing essentially.
Exactly.
Like you're still in training. Like you're not like claiming to be some like,
no, not at all.
you know,
You guys will see me with a can
master
soon.
professional artist or whatever. But like,
No, I know my strengths, you know, and
but that makes it fun so that it's not so much like, oh, hi, we're a bunch of experts here. No, I mean, myself, I have put my 10,000 hours into all of this, whether it's a brush or a can. Like, I've done, you know, equal amounts of both, honestly, and so I
got
really,
Fabian, a lot of records, a lot of dough talks in the house.
Nice.
Fabe.
What up,
Nice, hey,
Fabe?
Fabe.
Fabe is putting together a track for us. We're gonna have a intro song real soon. So he makes beats. So thank you, Fabe.
Thanks,
we
Fabe.
definitely need some music on this.
Yeah. Well, we actually have some chill royalty-free beats going right now.
Nice.
Hey, okay,
Yeah, we need some
cool.
originals.
Love
Yes,
some
yeah, we
chill
need some
royalty-free
originals for
beats.
sure.
Those are fun.
But yeah, so I think it's good to
Yeah, for us to have the different
have the
skill
balance.
levels. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is nice.
yeah,
You're
because
right. You're so
that's
right.
not, it's not all about like,
And it just brings it back to the people. It makes it more real. It's a way to say, if I can be an artist, anybody can be an artist. No, but it's true. Like, at the end of the day, if you're passionate about something or you have that it factor, if you do the work and you are committed to it and you love it and you just really, you know, focus, you can make something happen. Like Jeremy over in Chicago. Like, seriously,
Well,
like, Ryan wasn't always a mural artist, you know?
well, I mean, yeah, like there's a path, there's a formula, but it's not necessarily guaranteed. Like,
No, I'm not
I
saying
really
that.
think that, part of it is, the fact that like, it's not about what you do when the camera's on or when people are looking or you're getting credit or you're getting paid or whatever. You know, it's not about the moments that people see you or recognize you for your work. It's about the moments when nobody's looking. So it's about what are you doing when nobody's watching, when nobody cares, when nobody's asking for anything, and when it's all on you.
Working our asses off.
Cause like, but like for real though, like being your
Or
own boss
sleeping.
is the hardest part. Painting is the easy part, but being, you have to be the boss of yourself, and it's really easy to get stuck with this thing called resistance, which there's a book called by Stephen Pressfield is the name of the author, called The War of Art, which is a play on the art of war. But he talks about resistance being the force that keeps you from stepping into your creativity. So like if you have a creative project and you have something like, if you feel creatively blocked, anytime you have a creative block at all, that is resistance, which means that like there's something that's, you know, preventing you or getting in your way from you like showing up to the easel or showing up to the canvas or the paper or, you know, the wall, whatever it is that you're trying to work on. If you have something that like you're creatively blocked on, and I have it all the time. I have paintings I get stuck on. I have drawings I get stuck on. This is one of those paintings. Like the design phase of this painting, I got really stuck on. Once I had the design locked in, and once I had this canvas and we started this and we got going, it was like, it's gone pretty smooth. But the design part, I got super blocked on. And so resistance is basically what this book says is that the more important that a project is for your creative growth, the more resistance you're gonna feel or experience. So when you feel like really stuck, like you gotta keep pushing forward, even though like the biggest opportunities will produce the most fear. Or like, you know, when you're really on the spot, like, you know, how do you perform under pressure? Because you know, that's how it's going to be, like, you know. And you got to be able to break through that resistance, that whatever that's blocking you, stopping you. It could be like, it could be anything. It could be fear of failure. It could be, you know, the pressure. Oh my God, is the client gonna like it? Oh my God, do I like it? Well, what am I gonna do? I don't know what to paint. You know, yeah, you can just spiral. You can, yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, right, and that happens. Certain concepts, when you open it up and you try to go really deep with it, it can crack you open a little bit. And like the most challenging projects will push you out of your comfort zone. And so how do you handle that? Because it can open up some things and bring up some emotions that in a lot of ways can stunt you or set you, you know, off track, basically. Like it can freeze you up or just throw you off your game. I definitely have things like certain life stressful situation. It could be a stressful situation in your life that pulls you out of that creative flow state. But like you're trying to stay in that flow state, that pocket, you know, if you really want to paint like all the time at like a high level and be like crushing paintings and like, how do you keep going? You know, how do you stay in the flow? Well, I don't know. There's
boundaries with non-creative things, I would say, is a
balance of like of
yeah,
sorts.
but also like going back to this idea of creating a container, a creative container. I'll just use the example briefly from the other day. You were ready to dive into, I'm pretty sure it was this creative container. You were like, yeah, I'm gonna paint. And then one little tax conversation came up and it totally derailed the creative energy because, you know, then you're left side of the brain that's trying to figure and do math and just deal with all the stressful adult stuff.
I was just thinking the two sides of the brain there.
Yeah, when you're an adult and you own a business and then like it just totally derailed. I remember you being like, well, I guess I'm not gonna paint today. You know, like.
Right.
Yeah, it's
like,
just interesting.
Definitely, exactly. Like that's why like this painting's been interesting. It's been very interesting and challenging in a lot of ways because, I mean, just during the process of this painting, I mean, like I've moved, like our whole living situation just from the time this has started till now. So like for instance, you know, there's always some kind of like big changes or shifts that happen, and creativity, I swear to God, like unlocks, you know, again, it can unlock, it can be emotional in itself. So you have to have the capacity of like, you know, having your life together. Like the more you have your shit together, the better your art's gonna be because you'll be able to just like be emotionally stable, which will help your art be more consistent. So like times like, again, I'm not judging anybody who's an artist, but I'll be honest with you, I've met a lot of fucking artists and pretty much every single one of them are on like the spectrum of bipolar. And now I don't want to use labels like that because I don't really believe in that kind of stuff. Like I don't believe that these labels are helpful. All I'm saying is that many artists are very emotionally sensitive and certain type of people, so
and the idea
they can be a little bit if they are unhealthy, they can be a little bit
imbalanced,
unhinged, and
if your emotions are in check, if they are let's just say balanced, to put it simply, even if there are more of them than somebody who is, say, an accountant. No offense, I love accountants, but you know, I'm just saying if you're a more creatively inclined person, you're more likely to house more emotions, and if those emotions are more balanced and in check, then you are more able to channel them through, say, your art, and as you were just trying to say, basically be prolific, because instead of having emotions take you all over the place, you take the emotions and you're like, boom, painting.
Well, sort of, yes. So like the idea is, yes, harnessing them and channeling them to work for you, not against you, because that's what's going to happen. And like most artistic types, you know, we gravitate toward art initially as a therapy practice. It's not necessarily like something you do in the beginning. You do it because it makes you feel good, not because it makes you money or it makes you popular, or any of those kind of sorts of things.
Doesn't make you popular?
That are like, no, those are side effects, but they're
kidding.
not intentions, right? But
Crunchy
Hey,
donut.
how's it
Crunchy
going?
donut.
Good
how's
name.
it going? So yeah, thanks to everybody for joining us.
Yeah.
We are finishing what has been an odyssey of a painting. We really look forward to, like, one of the things I look forward to when I finish these paintings is being able to post this on Instagram, being able to add this to our website, and we are in the process of creating a whole bunch of new prints and merchandise and things like that from artwork just like this. So every time that I get to finish a new painting, I'm really excited to be able to add that to our website, add it to just like trying to create more products that are collectible and obtainable, because what we've been having a lot of people ask us from this paintcast has been like, hey, yo, y'all are giving us a bunch of free knowledge. We want to support you. How do we buy stuff? How do we donate, et cetera, et cetera? And for us, honestly, what we want to do is just keep making art. So we're going to be releasing a lot of the new paintings that I've finished on this paintcast since, you know, the new year. I've got about 6 new pieces. We're going to make a whole run of new prints, put them on our website. You can find that at artifaktstudios.com and click shop.
They're not up yet, but soon.
They will be up soon. If you go there now, we do have a bunch of prints for sale that are paintings that I have made in the past.
Wait, those are on Artifakt Studios? No, Artifakt.
If you go to artifaktstudios.com and click shop, that will take you to any of the prints and originals
He's right.
that I have personally painted. So that is the way to find the work and support us, is by buying a print or a t-shirt or something like that. But I do have to catch up and get all of the new work, such as this, photographed and made into prints, and that takes some time.
Yeah, it is tax season and our busy season, so we'll get there, you know?
Yeah. Like, we're building towards it, and again, having the online presence in the YouTube really helps us. Like, it encourages us to make that more accessible, because, again, this painting is going in someone's home, so it does have a destination. It has a home,
A home.
it has an intention of where it's going. Yes, it has a future home, which it'll be in very soon.
Yay.
But which is, it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
But again, this is like a pretty epic piece, and people are going to want to, potentially collect it and remember it, and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, we're getting on it. That's our next move. But yeah, this painting, I was really thinking about this as a print, and I realized that it's such a long piece that I'm gonna have to split it into 2 prints. So it'll be like the right side will be a print and the left side will be its own print.
But
so
also,
I can do
it'd be
stickers,
an
like a
epic
bumper,
sticker.
like a bumper sticker.
Exactly.
I could do bumper stickers. That would be pretty badass, right?
That's why I said
Like big fat ones.
Yeah.
And I could also do, like I said, the dual print or canvas prints. You could do those at that size.
The dual print or canvas print?
Like paper prints are standardized, but canvas prints, you could do them at any size.
So you would do a canvas print of the full thing, and would it be?
You could if you wanted to.
And that means it would be wrapped.
Yes.
Stretched.
But like at a smaller size, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I like that idea. That's great. Cool.
So I jump back
this
into
is
the airbrush because,
definitely a good one.
jumping around.
If we go on any dead tour or fish tour at any point, this would be a
It'd
good
be
one to bring.
badass to make like banners or tapestries.
Yeah, banner.
And I really need to get back on my merch game because, like, you know, at one point in my career, I had been doing like a lot of music festivals, and I was making all types of merchandise, and I was traveling to all these shows and selling, you know, the merch, and it was, you know, the original like hustle for me as an artist was, you know, was doing that kind of a circuit, and I love it. There's still parts of it that I do am actively involved in. There's parts of it that I'm not. But to me, it's something that like, it's the roots of my art, and it's something that I'll always find ways to be involved in. And so I can feel this already, like this piece being like, because it's a commission and because it's for a deadhead, but it's you know,
Private.
it's like, because it's in studio and it's like I'm not painting at a festival, but it's like about my experiences and it's informed by the festival culture in the community. It does kind of lend to that. Like you said, like this does make really good merch for festivals, like, or
Yeah, definitely.
you know, it's artwork that could be like reused or repurposed. I mean, one thing I was even thinking of is the fact that like it's a banner size, so even
Yeah,
banners
so
on like our
different.
websites and stuff, like it's kind of hard to find the right picture for that. You know, for like cover photos or whatever. So like this is like,
oh,
this
that
piece is
kind
epic.
Of banner.
Yeah. You know?
Yes. I thought you meant a physical banner. No,
well,
that's
even
brilliant.
like a physical printed banner too. I mean,
yeah,
honestly.
all of the above.
So, like
I love it.
It has a lot of
Uses.
reusable value, and it's also a piece that like because it combines so
dope.
many elements of whoa, sorry. Because it combines so many elements of other pieces that I've done before, like it kind of does. It is a very good like case study piece for me personally. So I feel very much personally aligned with this painting and where I'm at in terms of like my career and wanting to create more badass art just like this. You know, I'm just truly just trying to get to that point that, you know, we all seek, where we're creating our vision and, you know, to the best of our abilities and kind of finding our style or our voice. It takes a while. I mean, I don't know if it's ever like fully sort of like, you know, cemented, but
no, we're all always evolving.
right.
Look at
but-
Alex Gray's shrine room with all of his self-portraits. Like, this guy's been.
Well, yeah,
You know what I
you're
mean?
gonna-
Like,
you're
if
gonna
they evolve,
progress,
yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that like you find your thing, you know?
True.
And for me, I feel like certain pieces can help kind of push that along, and sort of your
And you think this is one of them? 'Cause I do.
defining a voice or like a style or something like that.
Yeah, I
and
think
this
this is one of
definitely one of them.
Yeah,
so,
I feel it.
So I'm hyped about that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of what has kind of motivated with me through this whole thing, but it's also one of the parts that kind of made it so like challenging. Sorry to be up in your space right now.
Up in my light. It's okay.
Oh, I am up on your light.
It's
am I?
okay. It's a joke.
Sorry. Let me get out of the way then.
No,
So
no.
you-
Do your thing.
I'm. What's that? Oh yeah. Tom making a rare guest appearance. I'll
no,
get out of
dear-
your space because I can just come back and work on that.
You sure?
I'm just overworking an area that I need to fix and
Okay.
shh.
Whatever you say.
Yeah, I'm just trying to like, you know, do a little bit more touch up over there, but for the sake of the shot, I will
For the sake of the show.
I will work in the middle, the center of
Okay.
this piece,
You say so.
where I should be. Yeah, that is why we have two cameras. All right, it's a little white in here. Okay. I'm gonna do. So I'm switching the airbrush color again. I'm gonna do a little bit of white highlight on my.
So we got a few more comments.
Oh.
This was from earlier. He said, creative souls in your presence is directly connected to overcoming blocks and resistance.
Oh.
Nice.
That's why I'm here.
Love that.
Jeremy says, what's your biggest source of inspiration when trying to work on an original piece?
As far as my biggest source of inspiration, I would say definitely, music is a big source of inspiration. Life in general is a big source of inspiration. Lately for me, I would say love is a big source of inspiration. Health. I think a little cannabis from time to time definitely helps get the ideas flowing. But I think that like what I have to do is find life experiences. So I have to live in terms of like having a life outside of working. So if I'm just like in the studio all day, all the time, like I actually
Nothing to draw from.
Yeah, there's nothing to draw from. So like you have to go out and have experiences. And so, this one was like partly inspired by, a pretty crazy New Year's experience that I had. Me and Audrey had together where, we definitely, went pretty deep with, the medicine, if you will. But, that was something that we rarely ever get the chance to sit with and experience. So I find that with any life experience or anything that's a powerful teacher, it's like just being present and letting yourself be there with it is the best way to get the most out of it, so that then you can later kind of absorb that and then push it out into something. So like we call that, integration, but like integration can be done in like any sort of way in life. Like, it's like if you have like a really amazing concert experience and then simply like you got to integrate that. So it's not just like, wow, that was a wild time, man. It's like, no, what did that teach you? Like even at festivals, like you go to a festival and it's like afterwards you're like, you go back to reality and you're just like, oh my God, like what happened, And I really find that it's important to like have that, like to sit with that glow.
Well, it's necessary. It's the healthiest thing someone can do, both physically but also mentally, because if you don't integrate that experience and you're going from, let's just call it the non-matrix to back into the matrix, it's very jarring to someone's system or someone's psyche, because once you like kind of walk through the portal or see the truth, or you're with the tribe, however you want to put it, it's really hard to, you can't unsee that. And going back to reality, especially the way a lot of us live in reality, the way that the world is day to day. We don't need to expand upon that. You get it, I hope. Going back to that, it's exactly that. It always feels like you're going back, like you're reverting to something.
Yeah, like you're
wait, what? But
yeah, it's like you have this thing where as soon as you're like in the once you're like immersed in the festival world, yes, you kind of forget about reality a little bit. You become untethered, and it's like it is kind of hard to go back.
Well, the festivals are drawing upon when people,
or any it could be any like experience that takes you out of reality for a brief period of time. It can be hard to reacclimate into society.
And, so I'm just saying, I think it's just completely necessary to have that integration time, so that you can make any sense of it, but also so that you can capture it and
make it into something tangible, which is like,
yes, but also what I'm getting at is I believe that we need more experiences like that. In fact, like it's how life could and should be. So I don't Like, I think it's sad when people have an experience like that and it's like one time in their life and then that's it. And it's this magical thing that they hold in their minds, but they'll never experience it again. And that was just like a one weekend or whatever.
Yeah,
when the
like
truth
one
is,
crazy, like,
yeah,
whoa, man, like, remember
No.
that time? Like,
no, but the truth is, like, there's a way of life, an old way of life that's very connected to, let's just call it festivals, is what we've been calling it. But the truth is, festivals, music festivals,
or like it's,
all the
it's all
festivals,
paganism,
it's paganism
at the end of
and
the
it
day,
draws, yeah,
which is like the oldest religion on the book.
it just
which is
it
really
draws
just
us
about
back
this-
to an older way of being.
Yeah, it's just about the celebration of being alive. And like, you know, being alive to me means having lots of different experiences, but also exploring your consciousness. Like, how do you know, like, you know, if what, you know, what it's like to be alive if you're not, like how is it illegal to explore your own mind? Like, that's insane, you know? Like, if I'm gonna be alive, like, and like, I'm curious about like the nature of my consciousness and how it is that, you know, I'm perceiving the world and this and that. Like, I think it's really important to explore these things. I think it's your God-given right. I think it's your human right, as a human being, to explore your consciousness. And you should. It's like part of it. Like, you have to, like, it helps to understand who you are and like how your mind works, you know? And like, if you can understand how your mind works, maybe you can have better control over it, you know, so that it works for you, not against you. And like, that's the whole goal here. Like I said, with art, like going down this rabbit hole, it's really easy for it to get the best of you. One of the tools that I've really found to be really instrumental in my career and my artistic practice in general is, you know, these certain psychedelic compounds, you know, like, and I'm not like, again, like, I'm not like advocating this for anybody. I'm just saying that, like, you know, therapeutically or spiritually, it's given me certain insights that like I wouldn't trade for anything, because it helped just like humble me, and I think make me the person that I am, and kept me just curious, and just like it kept me like in love with like the whole cosmic mystery, because you can really never quite figure it all out. And I think that's fun. Like, I have a lot of like deep respect for the mystery of really not knowing what it's all about, or where do we come from, or all that kind of stuff. Like, you can speculate all day and it's fun to do so, but you know, I like knowing that there's something bigger than me, like a bigger, higher power or spirit, you know, some kind of cosmic energy that is all knowing and all being and will always be and has always been. And I just trust that it's there, you know, because you know, when you see certain things, it's just like, you know, the universe is a really dope artist. And I think certain experiences with these chemicals and compounds will show you worlds and universes and just things beyond reality that, like, it's like looking through a door and being like we all suspect that there's a world beyond this, and everybody says, oh, well, we all speculate about that, but you know, there are these tools that allow you to look through that door and look to the other side. And really, that's the psyche and the subconscious, is to look on the other side of your, you know, your subconscious, your unconscious, and see what's actually there. And it can be scary, because it's like you're looking at the shadow of yourself. You're looking at like your deepest, darkest thoughts. You're looking at like your soul. You're really bearing it to yourself when you choose to go through this door. But in the end, you're going to understand and know yourself better, and therefore, you know, you're going to be better off for it if it's something you're willing to like look at and like face and just like deal with. So to me, like, some people go to a therapist and like they go to a doctor and they talk about their feelings and their thoughts, and they try to like unravel why it is that they're crazy, or why it is that they're having whatever issue it is that they're having psychologically. But some people, you know, I think I think that there are tools that somewhat allow us to explore our own minds and answer those questions for ourselves when used in the right set and setting and all of that good stuff. So that is just my personal take on it. Like, I have done all of the Western, thing. I've gone to the therapist. I've taken the pills. I've done all of that stuff. It only ever made me worse. Like, it never helped. It made it worse. And so, like, I'm not denouncing that for anybody. I'm just being honest about what happened with me. And, like, now I've been free of pharmaceuticals, medications, or psychiatric medications, like antidepressants and things like that. I've been free of that stuff for over 5 years. And I think 1,000% due to plant medicines and psychedelics really being what were able to help me and get off of those things and find like more peace within myself, so that I could resolve some like personal issues. And it gave me the tool and the perspective to see what I needed to do to fix my life. And I just kind of try to follow and integrate that experience and kind of do what it tells me in a way. So like kind of get out of the way and just trust the experience and the medicine, so to speak, to handle the rest, and I don't know. All I can say is that I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful to the people in my life who, have given me the source to that medicine. I'm grateful for the people who accept me, to be who I am. And, I don't I don't really question it anymore. I just know for me that every once in a while, if I don't, have a trip to that place and time and go to that,
Take that journey.
source, or step behind that door, or whatever it is, like drink the Kool-Aid, whatever it is you want to call it. For me personally, I think that I lose touch with my spiritual core and my essence of what, gives me connection with a divine, energy. So when I try to, again, I try to find this through natural sources, like yoga, meditation, exercise, and eating healthy, and things like that. Art itself is psychedelic. There are many things that embody the same kind of energy and potential, and those are things that I actively try to work on, improving my practice with. But nonetheless, I find myself at certain times in my life when I need help, or I need that tool or that little
boost.
It's like a reset button. It's a mental sort of reset that allows me. It's almost like I compare it to like cleaning my hard drive on my computer. Like, I think that like the trash can gets full and the computer starts, kind of becoming cluttered and kind of clunky and like not really working. Like, there's too much data like stored on the hard drive, and then I just I hit the reset button, and all of a sudden it's like the computer's like working like cleaner, faster, more efficiently.
Yeah, but again, this is why I want to go back to the integration thing. This is another reason, from my perspective and my own natural studies, this is why integration is vital. Oh, careful.
Sorry, stepping on the cameras again.
It's vital because what we're able to experience or capture through a psychedelic experience is powerful, beautiful, enlightening, it's useful, it's so many things. But when we come back from that experience, if that experience is not properly integrated or not integrated at all, we lose it. And then that's why people feel the need to go back for it again and again and again. Some people quite frequently. And the truth is, whatever we're accessing through the assistance of whatever plant medicine or whatever source, it's only accessible because our brains and our bodies house the actual like receptor or whatever it's called.
Neurotransmitters.
Yeah, it houses the receptor that gets turned on by that external source.
Right.
What I'm getting at is we actually have all of that within us. There's a very deep set of practices that is a lot more of, it's a different method and a different path toward, finding enlightenment, if you will, and it takes a lot more discipline and time and commitment, but my point is you can access all of this naturally, and we all should. I think we should all do both. There's like no reason why everyone can't and shouldn't, but my point is if anyone is to tap into this lifestyle or these kinds of medicines or anything at all, I think that it is pointless if there is not some sort of integration, and the integration's purpose is to capture it and to pull it back with us so that it can ripple into real healing change in our lives, as opposed to an awesome experience and it was crazy and that to me is I'm just gonna say it, that's poison.
Well,
and there's a big difference between
can
medicine
be.
and poison.
But the Greek word pharma means both. You know,
It means what?
Well, like in Greek, the word pharma means both medicine and poison.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right. So that's it's all about
I
dosage.
did not know
So
that.
everything can be a medicine and a poison. Even alcohol can be medicinal.
Oh yeah.
You know, or water could be poisonous if you drink too much of it.
Water
You'll
can
die.
be poisonous if it's city water, if you ask me.
Well, I'm just saying you could drink pure water.
But yes.
And it could be poisonous if you drink too much of it.
Yeah.
If you try to drink 5 gallons in one sitting, you know what I mean? So, like,
The point was that
it's how you use something and why and all that.
Yeah, and that like if we're gonna go down these rabbit holes, so to speak, if the purpose is to find something, like why wouldn't we want to keep or use, I guess, what we find? I don't know.
Well,
We got some more people up in here.
Cool.
Charlie Becca says,
Aw.
I mess with the live, Ryan. It's great. It's a great listen while painting right now.
See,
Fuck yeah, Charlie. Thanks, man.
Jeremy noticed the molecules, by the way.
nice.
Yeah, dude. The molecules,
find.
man.
The molecules, man.
Yeah, it's really just, again, like, I don't like to make too many obvious references. But in this case, like, sometimes it really actually, like, those molecules, like those chemicals, deserve the shout out. Like, again, I'm not gonna make all my art about all these things all the time, you know.
But kind of.
but kind of. Like, what do you mean? I mean,
Witch doctor.
I mean, yeah. Like, there are, like, I am that. You know, I am a
You're that guy.
countercultural artist. I mean,
Even hive mind.
in that fringe category of
Yeah.
outsider weirdo.
Well, yeah, but I'm naming
know?
2 of your pretty most popular pieces,
Yeah.
I would argue, and they both focus on interplanetary
Okay, you're not wrong.
planets.
You know, yes,
Substance.
being relationships and
Yeah,
stuff
just
like
saying.
that. Yeah, okay. Okay, not wrong. You're not wrong.
So maybe you did already find your thing years ago.
Well,
when
that's
you
it.
painted
We're just
those.
revisiting that. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that like
it's
all
true.
of a sudden I'm making some big, huge jump or shift
No,
here
you've
because
been
this is
doing
this is not nothing new, right? What I'm saying is I'm combining a bunch of things from a bunch of old paintings into
Right.
and elements from new paintings and kind of
Elements.
like smashing them together. So that's what feels really rad about this piece, and what I think it's unlocking is it's like helping me get back to my roots as that, you know, type of artist who's kind of like, you know, I picked up this brush so that in a lot of ways that I could articulate those experiences or express them into a canvas that I couldn't say with words. So again, I can sit here and talk all day about my feelings or experiences or this or that, or I can just paint about them.
Yeah.
And that's always kind of been like what I've realized I was supposed to do, was like, oh, okay, like I'm having like these crazy like, you know, pictures in my head, and like I feel like, you know, I need to like jot them down, you know, I need to journal them in a sense. And so my artistic career really is just like a journal from my own like mind of things that I feel like I've seen or felt as being real, that, you know, even if they're really far out and abstracted, I need to pull them into it. Something about pulling them into this universe allows me to like validate those feelings or expressions. So it's like, you know, it becomes real, even if it's not. It's like, now it is, you know. And I mean, you just brought up Alex Gray. I think that's like, Alex is one of his biggest, you know, I think his most notable accomplishments is simply that like he really, you know, goes to a certain place and pulls out of it a certain vision that
integrates.
like is very well, yes, it's beyond, you know, strange and yet super familiar. Like I just don't know how he does that, you know. It just feels like you've been there, but yet it's the most alien thing like you could imagine. And that is what a lot of this stuff is kind of like at times. You know, it's equally as strange as it all makes sense, you know. And so like that was a goal here with this painting, is like that blend of surrealism, of the strange and absurd and kind of like mystical. Like I wanted to capture mysticism into this piece, the cosmic mystery of like, where did this all come from?
What are we doing?
Like this, if you really look at the story of like this culture and this band and this music and all the festivals and all the, like, you know, all those experiences and in the way it happened, and you really like you say it to yourself, you read it, and it's like, did that really happen? Like, it's one of the most, I think it's one of the most fantastic stories ever. You know, the countercultural 60s revolution, LSD, and, you know, the whole cultural, you know, paradigm shift that was created as like a, you know, a side effect of like a butterfly effect of all of that. And the way that it's still to this day, like, still going, you know?
Yeah, I gotta say real quick, not to change the subject, I'm so appreciating your texture work in the background of where I'm painting, all the layers of spray paint and stuff that went in first, because now with these fluid acrylics that are super fluid, it's finally starting to lay on top and create the like patchwork and the forest that I've been trying to paint. Like, it just took forever, but yeah, I'm seeing it now. Love it. And I'm just saying, what I'm saying is I love the multimedia really, really does it.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you.
Want to ask some questions, comments,
Cool.
concerns? None of those, but go ahead and do that.
Thank you for joining
Not
us. We
taking
appreciate
concerns.
it. We are moving along. I'm working on the airbrush here, so I have a highlight color in here. I'm using kind of like an off-white, it's like a cream color to add some glow into my skull. Give him more shine, action. Just because,
You don't say.
you know, he was looking a little dark and ominous. And like, one of the goals with this painting was not to make it too dark, but not make it too light.
You mean dark, dark energy, not dark color.
No, both.
Oh, obviously.
Both. Like, it's got to have, you know, the yin and the yang. So
For
it's,
sure.
you know, as above, so below. day, night. I want to show that there really is no like good and evil, it's in all of us, at times.
Were we live?
The potential exists inside of all of us. So it's like two wings of the same bird, That's why night and dark, I don't want the night to look scary or the daytime, it's like they're each, even with a skull.
Same
I mean,
coin.
the idea, I think, of death, right?
Ooh.
Like skull representing death, and death being like something that we're like afraid of, as this like inevitable part of our journey, which we all have to embrace at some point by ourselves. What I think is like, death can be beautiful if we recontextualize and reprogram the way we think about it. And so working through this painting is helping me try to
Prepare for death?
Well, it's
just
all
kidding.
preparation for death.
I know, I'm kidding, but not, but yeah.
And so, I think that taking psychedelics is also, a way of preparing for a figurative death in terms of an ego death, in terms of losing your ego, which can feel very much like dying, and somewhat is like a preparation for such, letting go of your ego, letting go of the person you were, allows you to, be reborn in a sense. And so that's what I think that that term, the Grateful Dead, to me, I interpret that as having gratitude for going through an experience or being a part of something that you can never be the same again. But nonetheless, I'm glad it happened. I'm glad that I was along for the ride, because it's a long, strange trip. It's not exactly what I thought life would be. I didn't think I was gonna be an artist, essentially. Like, it's like being it's like joining the circus. The circus comes to town, and like, you get on, and you never look back. Like that's kind of how it feels sometimes.
Wow,
But like, and I don't know if it would have really happened quite the same way if it wasn't for the influence of
the dead.
of this particular culture.
Yeah.
And so this homage, when I'm able to have that opportunity to paint something that represents this particular culture, these kind of particular motifs, like I think it's like a great like honor. Like I take it with like I treat it with a lot of respect, because
Same.
like, this is an artistic legacy. This isn't just about me and my art and my interpretation about something. This is like my contribution to like a lineage of artists who have contributed to their interpretations of the same common motifs that we're touching upon here. We're not...
Of which we are collectors.
Right, and we're not visiting anything that hasn't been done or said. We're just remixing and spitting it through my own lens, my own interpretation, and my own style to breathe in like new life into it, where to do something that I don't know if anyone's ever really like done it like this, quite this way. And I would hope that I'm getting there. I feel like I am, this is like accomplishing what it is that I was seeking to do. And it's really difficult to make anything new in this culture because people have seen it all. Let's put it that way. Like there's, they're almost accustomed to heady art and heady music and this and that, and like it's like it's hard to do to
outdo the.
It's a challenge, yeah. Like there's been a lot of like really amazing artists who have come before me, and so
yeah, but only one you.
And only one me. So I have my own like unique voice to contribute to that conversation, but ultimately, like we're all kind of speaking the same language, using the same vocabulary, and so it's kind of like it's keeping the torch, it's passing the torch, it's keeping the flame alive, by
like
breathing new life into, a motif that maybe sometimes, I don't know, like it feels like it's all been done before, but I don't think so. I think these themes, and even for myself, are like, I've done themes like this so many times, but like it's worth revisiting. It's worth going back because I always find something new. And that's what I love about psychedelic art. Like it has such depth and range. It's infinite. Like you can always go further. And so that being said, Tom, what are we looking on for time right now? I feel like we've been going for quite a while.
I
About
was
an
just
hour or
thinking
so.
that.
You think we should,
More than that.
send this home at
Yeah,
some
we're
point?
at an hour and 29 minutes.
Yeah.
Hour 29. Well, I guess
I think it's time.
that's our time. I'm gonna finish with a quick saying here that is relevant to this piece and is part of the inspiration here. This is an excerpt from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. We now return our souls to the Creator as we stand on the edge of eternal darkness. Let our chant fill the void in order that others may know. In the land of the night, the ship of the sun is drawn by the Grateful Dead. And so, yeah. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you guys for joining us on this like 3-part trilogy of this crazy painting.
We will
stay
be here.
tuned. I'm gonna be stretching this bad boy tomorrow. I'm gonna be giving it a varnish.
And we'll be back with a new painting next time.
Yes, we'll be back with a new painting next week. But yeah, I'm gonna be stretching this canvas up around a frame. Gonna be delivering it to our client. Very excited about that. And shout out to Byron.
Byron.
He's Byron and Alicia. They're awesome. They commissioned us to create this for them, so we're very grateful.
Yeah.
But
pun
yeah, and so stay tuned. We're gonna just post all the finished pieces, the finished pictures, finished videos, time lapses, all that good stuff. You will find that at Artifakt Studios on Instagram. Artifaktstudios.com is our website. That's Artifakt with a K. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Tom, our producer. Thank you, Audrey. We'll see you next week.